So in this scene we're going to talk about how to set up lights in Maya. We're going to talk about how to set up 3 different types of lights, and we're going to show you how to change their attributes as well. The next part we're going to show how to actually render out using Mental Ray to give your scene a really nice look. Okay, to set up a light, and lights are very important because they add depth, they can give a scene shadows, and you can also add atmosphere to a scene using lights. So first step is to create lights, and the first light we're going to use is the spotlight. This light can be used for torches, car headlights, lamps, any lights like that to shoot out a cone, or even a spotlight as it's named. Now with that selected, I can press F and I can focus right in on that light, and we can see with the arrow that it's pointing in that direction. Now we can see that it's actually not emitting any light at the minute. Well, it is, but it's quite hidden. If I click the light icon here, and if I rotate that down with high quality mode on, we can see we have a spotlight and it is emitting light out. Right, the best way to move that is to use all viewports. So to use all viewports, I just tap space and it shows you all my viewports in the scene. If I want to go into any other viewport, all I have to do is hover my mouse over it and tap space again. I can get into each one of these. So on this one, in your 2D ones, which are everyone except the top right one, I can only pan and zoom in. I can't rotate because it's meant to be a 2D view. It's just meant to help you place objects. So if I tap space on that and press W on my light, I can move it up into the right location. Now again, I was zooming in on that light just by pressing F. I can click on anything and press F and it will focus in on that object. Just going to get out of this view again by pressing space and go into the side view, hover over, press space. I can see my light actually inside the building, so I just hold on to the blue one and take it out of there and press F to focus on it. Now I'll just press E and I'm going to rotate that around until it's directed at the floor. So that's my light actually placed in the scene. I'm going to press space and go into my 3D preview mode. Press F and zoom into my light. Remember, you have to have your object selected to focus on it. Right, so we can see our light's pointing down there, but it's got this harsh ring around it. And we can change the attributes and fix that. Just you press the attributes editor button up here and make sure your light's selected. And this is going to bring up the attributes for that light. So I can change the color, change it to red, green, blue, whichever one I want. I can change the intensity, make it really bright, or turn it off. And I can set the cone angle on which it actually displays. I can set the harshness of that ring around it as well by changing the penumbra angle. If I move it up, it makes it bigger but blurs it. If I move it to the left, it makes it smaller but it also blurs it. And we can get rid of that harsh ring. Now it's got a nice blurred ring to it. Now, as with all lights, lights have a rate of decay. So the longer the distance the light's traveling, the less light ends up at the end. And we can change that by setting the decay rate to linear. Now you'll notice your light actually disappears here. If we scroll up and change the intensity up, you can see the light comes back. I'm just going to change that to 15. So the farther away I put that light, you can see the less light hits the ground. Now the last thing I'm going to do to this attribute is actually turn on shadows. Now if I scroll down to my attributes, I can find shadows here. I'm going to click on that tab and then I'm going to scroll right down to the bottom of that. I'm going to find use ray trace shadows just by clicking there. Now with the shadow ball clicked here at the top, you can see it gives me a preview of what that shadow is going to look like. Another thing I can actually add to this light is some light effects. So I can actually add in light fog just by clicking this box. At first it's just going to add in this white color, but if I click the box beside the color, just like adding a texture, I can then click cloud. Then when we render it out later on, you'll see that light fog appear. It gives a blue indication here of where that fog is going to land. Okay, the next light we're going to create is our point light. Point light shoots light out in every direction. It should be used for light bulbs, any really other light apart from the spotlight or the sun. So I'm just going to go create light and point light. Now you can see this light has a big radius and it's lighting up a big area. Again, I'm going to use my 4 viewports here, try and place it in the right direction. Just by pressing space, I can slowly get it into its right location. So at the minute that's lighting up a huge area. I don't want it to lighten up that big of an area, so I can change the intensity, or I can go down to the rate of decay, change it to linear. We can see it's only lighting up that small spot now, but if I go up to intensity, I can slowly change the area that it's lighting. And I'll change the color to a green. And again, go down to your attributes and I'll turn on shadows. Our last light we're going to create is the directional light. The directional light should be used for your sun or your moon. It should be for a light that's coming from very far away. So just go to light, create lights and directional light. If I focus in on that, you'll see that it's just arrows pointing in a direction. These arrows are pointing in that direction, which is just lighting up the front of this building. If I use my windows again, I can place this light high above the building. Where I've set up a simple sphere just to indicate where the sun is. Now if I go into my 3D view, focus on this, I can direct the light down into my building just by pressing E while the light's selected. I can slowly move it into its right direction. So now we can see the light's pointing down there into the building at an angle. And again, I'm just going to turn down the intensity of this so it doesn't light too much. And I'm just going to go down to shadows and turn on ray trace shadows. So we now see that it's casting shadows at the side. That ends creating and setting up the lights. In the next lesson I'll be showing you how to set up mental ray so we can get a really nice image.